I'd raise my hand and say, hey, we got a problem here. They would attack the messenger and ignore the message.
Records documenting the removal of the Alaska Airlines door. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This is a criminal cover-up.
I have a theory that Boeing is committing massive insurance fraud, and that's the reason John Bennett is no longer with us today. Let me explain.
To threaten you. You're talking about your boss calling you on your personal phone and berating you. And when did that start?
Well, that started right after.
What up, internet fam? Prepare to lose your mind. WTF Daily, bringing you the most insane viral videos and news. Comment, like, share, subscribe.
Every second of the day, a Boeing jet is in the air. But after two fatal MAX 8 crashes overseas 5 years ago, a MAX 9 door plug blowout in January, and Boeing's admitted quality control breakdowns, whistleblowers told Congress they feel the need to speak out. One of them making a stunning claim about the 777 assembly line.
I literally saw people jumping on the pieces of the airplane to get them to align. I call it the Tarzan effect.
Unbelievable.
Engineer Sam Salapour told senators what he told us in an exclusive interview this week, that Boeing's 787 fuselage has a manufacturing flaw that could cause it to break apart in flight.
Should Boeing ground the 787 right now to check the gap sizes?
I would say they need to.
United Airlines CEO says he too is confident.
There are thousands of these airplanes. They've been flying for decades, millions of flight hours. I am totally confident the 787 is a safe airplane.
I have serious concerns about the safety of the 787 and 777 aircraft, and I'm willing to take on professional risk to talk about them. In a rush to address its bottlenecks in production, Boeing hit problems, pushing pieces together with excessive force to make them appear that the gaps don't exist. I literally saw people jumping on the pieces of the airplane to get them to align. I call it the Tarzan effect. I raised concerns internally. I was sidelined. I was told to shut up. I received physical threats. My boss said I would have killed someone who said what you said in a meeting. This is not a safety culture where you get threatened by bringing issues of safety concern.
To threaten you. You're talking about your boss calling you on your personal phone and berating you. And when did that start?
Well, that started right after when I said, we have made over 300 plus airplanes. We still don't know how to put the load and sell. What I mean by that, if you build in an airplane, building a house, it's like, putting the foundation. We have made over 300 airplanes. We still changing our process, like build the foundation to put the airplanes. We are struggling with that because they have changed the process, from stable to unstable situation. They're not building the same datums that we were building. So you're causing your own problem, but you don't want to admit it. Just force fit the problem, force fit the misaligned holes and everything else and move on. And that's what they have been doing. And that's what I have brought up to their attention. I told my boss that I said in the report, I said, we have made 300 plus airplanes. That should have been more than adequate for us to resolve these things. All the problems that we've had, we put Band-Aid over Band-Aid to resolve the problems, and Band-Aid over Band-Aid doesn't cover it. Maybe we need to consider some engineering fundamentals with a little bit of GD&T to figure out what the problem is. And right after that, he came back to my desk and he, like I said, he made the threat. And then after that, he says, are you in or are you out?
Meaning what? Are you in and are you out with Boeing? Are you going to be a good citizen and keep your mouth shut? Was that the implication?
That's how I can interpret that. He would walk by me and he said, you better, then he said, I want you to write it in writing. Tell me, are you in or are you out?
Put it in writing whether or not you were going to.
I'm in or out. And what that means, are you going to just shut up?
Right.
That's all.
That would be in. If you wanted to be in, you needed to be quiet. You needed to stop this. Don't say anything more. Certainly don't tell the public.
That's how I interpreted it. But he told me to write it in writing. And I'm trying to write it. And there was 10 emails. Just because I haven't received your email on this, send it to me and this and that.
So then he's pressuring you.
Then he's pressuring you. And then his manipulation even got further than that. I'm trying to take a class on my own time that I have to flex the time. He wouldn't let me do that. I have a doctor's appointment. He cancels my doctor appointment at the same day. Different manipulating different things to retaliate, to make your life miserable. And then, I started talking to go somewhere else. I mean, you just try to escape from that because this is hell, that I was subjected to. And then he threatens you with that. And really, with my background, I've had some, it's really has made me where 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm waking up with somebody stabbing me. I'm still receiving psychological help to just get back on normal.
Well, it is unbelievable to me that in the midst of this safety crisis at this corporation, that what they're doing is threatening their own engineers whose job it is to help identify potential safety concerns. And rather than saying, you know what, you've got a point, we need to maybe do something about this, they're telling you to hide it, they're reassigning you, they're threatening you, they're trying to shut you up. In the meantime, I noticed this guy, Dave Calhoun, I think he's the CEO. I guess he's leaving at the end of the year. I wonder how much he's getting paid.
Wow.
I bet it's a lot.
Airplanes meet or exceed all safety standards. This is untrue and misrepresents the safety of the airplanes. The company illegally removed thousands of quality control inspections on individual airplanes without the FAA's knowledge and without the knowledge of the airlines. Although many of these inspections have been reinstated, hundreds of airplanes have left Boeing factories without those thousands of inspections. My last point is the Department of Justice and FBI relied on the slanted results of the first MAX accident investigation to develop an illegal and unjust deferred prosecution agreement. The NTSB chair reiterated to Congress last week that Boeing has said there are no records documenting the removal of the Alaska Airlines door. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This is a criminal cover-up. Records do, in fact, exist. I know this because I've personally passed them to the FBI.
What the F?
Boeing started removing inspection operations off their jobs. So it left the mechanics to buy off their own work. So what we're seeing with the door plug blowout is what I've seen with the rest of the airplane, as far as jobs not being completed properly, inspection steps being removed, issues being ignored. My concerns are with the 737 and the 787, because those programs have really embraced the theory that quality is overhead and non-value added. So those two programs have really put a strong effort into removing quality from the process. When I first started working at Charleston, I was in charge with pushing back defects to our suppliers. And what that meant was I'd take a group of inspectors and actually go to the supplier and inspect their product before they sent it in. Well, I'd taken a team of 4 inspectors to Spirit Aerosystems to inspect the 41 section before they sent it to Charleston. And we found 300 defects. Some of them were significant that needed engineering intervention.
Unbelievable.
When I returned to Charleston, my senior manager told me we had found too many defects and he was going to take the next trip. So the next trip he went on, he took 2 of my inspectors. And when they got back, they were given accolades for only finding 50 defects. So I pulled that inspector aside and I said, did Spirit really clean up their act that quick? That don't sound right. And she was mad. She said, no. Said the 2 inspectors were given 2 hours to inspect the whole 41
That's a
section.
hero in my book. What do you think?
Back in 2012,
Drop your comments below.
Boeing whistleblower was found dead in his truck just days after testifying against the aviation company. 62-year-old John Barnett was found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound in the parking lot of a hotel in Charleston, South Carolina. Barnett had raised concerns about the production standards and faulty oxygen systems, particularly in Boeing's 737 and 787 Dreamliner planes, and was in town to discuss his whistleblower retaliation suit with Boeing attorneys.
I'd raise my hand and say, hey, we got a problem here. They would attack the messenger and ignore the message.
I know that he did not commit suicide. There's no way.
First tonight, our investigative reporter Ann Emerson has new information in the death of Boeing whistleblower John Barnett. A close family friend of Barnett says he predicted he might wind up dead, that a story could surface that he killed himself. But he told her, don't believe it. Ann?
Tessa, Barnett's family friend Jennifer said they had talked about this exact scenario playing out, but his words seemed like a premonition. He told her, don't ever believe it.
I knew John because his mom and my mom are best friends. And so over the years, get-togethers, birthdays, celebrations, and, whatnot, we've all got together and talked, and, that's how we really know each other.
And when Jennifer needed help one day, Barnett came by to see her. They talked about his upcoming depositions in Charleston. Jennifer knew he filed an extremely damaging complaint against Boeing. He says the aerospace giant retaliated against him when he blew the whistle on unsafe practices. For more than 30 years, Barnett was a quality manager. He'd recently retired and moved back to look after his mom in Louisiana.
He wasn't concerned about safety because I asked him, I said, aren't you scared? And he said, and his voice and the way he would talk, no, I ain't scared. He said, but if anything happens to me, it's not suicide. I know that he did not commit suicide. There's no way. He loved life too much. He loved his family too much. He loved his brothers too much to put them through what they're going through right now.
And he basically told you not to believe it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Not true. He's got too much to do, likes breathing. And he did. He had a lot of plans of things that he wanted to do.
What do you think happened?
I think somebody got in there and made, money can buy anything nowadays, it seems like. I think somebody didn't like what he had to say and wanted to shut him up and didn't want it to come back on anyone, so that's why they made it look like a suicide.
The last time she saw Barnett, it was at her father's funeral in late February. He was one of the pallbearers. Sometimes family and friends referred to him by his middle name, Mitch.
I think everybody is in disbelief and can't believe it. And I told everybody that I don't care what they say, I know that Mitch didn't do that.
And just because John
What do you think?
Barnett is dead,
Smash the like and drop a comment below.
I have a theory that Boeing is committing massive insurance fraud, and that's the reason John Bennett is no longer with us today. Let me explain. John Bennett, aka the Boeing whistleblower, was found deceased in a hotel parking lot on March 9th, 2024, after claims that Boeing is skipping safety precautions and letting faulty parts go into airplanes. So how does this contribute to the insurance fraud? Turns out, when a plane crashes, the manufacturer of the airplane will submit an insurance claim. 1, for the failure of the plane, and 2, for the damages on the plane as well. Depending on how many passengers are on the plane can determine how much money is involved.
Totally insane.
A Boeing 757, the commercial flight, crashes and everyone on the plane either sustains some injury or a lot of them perish. You're looking up to north of $250 million for a single plane crash. And turns out there are quite a few plane crashes each year, private and commercial as well. Now, if you didn't know, Boeing in 2021 actually had a case on them committing fraud and conspiracy, and they agreed to pay over $2.5 billion. That makes you really think it might be a actual plausible business model to actually crash your plane. If they're getting this much money off of a single plane, like, wouldn't it make sense that they would purposely make sure that their planes are filled with faulty parts?
Smash the like and drop a comment below. Well, that's it for today, folks. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment with suggestions of what you would like and videos you would like to see. Until next time, fam.